This is your daily dose of all things royal.
Hey, everybody. I was shocked by the evidence uncovered by the House Judiciary Committee that a group of companies organized a systematic illegal boycott against X. It is just wrong, and that is why we are taking action. Today, we filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, 4 of its key members, and the World Federation of Advertisers. These organizations targeted our company and you, our users. The evidence and facts are on our side. They conspired to boycott X, which threatens our ability to thrive in the future. That puts your global town square, the one place that you can express yourself freely and openly, at long-term risk. People are hurt when the marketplace of ideas is constricted. No small group of people should be able to monopolize what gets monetized. This group is no match for the power of our users, all of you. The very same users that have driven usage of X to all-time highs. I joined X because I believe in the power of the global town square. It's users like you, people of all backgrounds and opinions, who make X indispensable. You deserve an open platform where your views can be expressed without restriction and without fear. To all of you who have been part of this transformative journey that we're on, thank you. Rest assured, X has never been more committed to innovating and expanding all of our global town square.
Y'all remember back in 2020, before the election, Prince Harry starts talking about companies needing to demand change from social media sites to stop hate and division? In this article, they reference that essay Prince Harry did for Fast Company, in which the Duke of Sussex said that a better online experience is crucial for people across the globe relying on social media sites for information. And speaking about the pitfalls of social media, saying there is an opportunity to do better and remake the digital world. As it continues, it says, and the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, otherwise known as GARM, that same GARM that is being discussed today, which are working on pushing companies to send messages with withheld ad dollars and evaluating online standards around hate speech. Harry said that this is just the beginning. Oh, you bet it is, Harry. So you might be saying to yourself, why is TRG bringing this to us? Why is she talking about this antitrust lawsuit that was announced today? And the reason is because it's very much relevant to what Meghan and Harry have been doing and getting involved with. These two totalitarian dictators truly do want to control speech. They also want to be able to control the information that you see. As I've said many times over, ever since this censorship industrial complex has been exposed, you notice a change in behavior with how the social media companies have been regulating or deplatforming people. And that's because this group has been exposed for being the ones who have been suppressing speech, especially Meghan and Harry. So now what we're seeing with these two predators is the shift towards focusing on the kids and keeping the kids safe, when we all know that Meghan doesn't give a shit about the kids. She just cares about shutting people up. So this work that they're doing with the Archewell public charity is just a front. When you actually look at this program, they're really not doing anything. They're just replicating what's on their partner's website and allowing them to do the work. Archewell is using this as the backdrop so they can go behind the scenes to go ahead and push policy to regulate social media. The organizations that they're aligned with, like the Five Rights Foundation in the UK, are driving policy discussions here in the United States. Take, for example, the lawsuits that are happening on a state level, particularly in California, where these laws now have come into play on regulating what information your kid gets to see, as well as violating their privacy rights. Currently, Five Rights Foundation, as well as Archewell public charity, are part of a lawsuit with NetChoice in which they're supporting the state for passing this law on regulating the information to your children, as well as being able to have access to information about them. What's interesting about this is that the people that are on this list that I've highlighted in pink are organizations that Archewell public charity has been involved with, whether it be giving grants to, like Encode Justice, or Meghan's bestie, Tristan, from the Center of Humane Technology. And then you have grant winners for the Responsible Youth Power Fund, as seen here with Accountable Tech and Design It For Us, all paid for by these globalists. So now going back to this program of building a better online world with the Archewell public charity, I start to ask questions as how real is this program? Meghan and Harry are pathological liars, and Meghan's all about the optics. So who's to say that what we are seeing in front of us is all just an elaborate facade that they're painting of trying to help parents when maybe none of this stuff really happened? Could these people be actors? I mean, I'm looking at this woman who was on the CBS interview this weekend. She was so vocal. She was like talking about her son's unaliving himself, but there were so many missing details that didn't quite make sense. And then you see this photo of her smiling, posing for the marketing for this parent network. So it makes you question, are these people even real? Because I wouldn't put it past Meghan and Harry to stage all of this in the goal of doing ultimately what they're trying to do, which is pass these regulations. We've been lied to so much by Meghan and Harry. Why should we believe anything that they put out? So now when we go back to the partners for this parent network, two things jump out at me. One, you have two organizations, Five Rights Foundation and NSPCC, who are based out of the UK. And normally, the organizations that Meghan and Harry have been aligning with that are focusing on this censorship are based in the UK. The other thing that's odd to me is that NSPCC, Sophie, is the patron. So the question I have is, why did the NSPCC decide to align with Archewell public charity? Like, what's going on here? I have to ask the question, like, are these organizations truly for the children? Because what I'm seeing coming out of the UK surrounding children, it doesn't seem like the UK is trying to protect them. The current prime minister right now is more concerned over arresting people for saying stuff online than actually protecting its British citizens. There's something very alarming that's going on here. But getting back to this situation with Meghan and Harry and their partners, I put in question Five Rights Foundation and tying it all back to the beginning of this video concerning this antitrust lawsuit now. Pulled from the filing in Exhibit E from this antitrust lawsuit is Five Rights involvement. So in this email thread, Rob Rockovitz, who is the lead of GARM, received an email from, and it doesn't say who it is, somebody from the World Federation of Advertisers, giving this template of securing speakers for this conference that was coming up in Turkey. So in planning this conference, the session that they were looking to put together here was for TikTok, and crafting it around panelists who could answer or cover topics such as how does the TikTok algorithm work and how does it differ from other social media platforms? What are the societal harms linked to TikTok? And particularly when it comes to children, what I find very interesting here is this highlighted, as it says, particularly when it comes to children, but scratched out a focus on children and vulnerable consumers. Already, you know that from an advertising perspective, you can see the manipulation on how our children are vulnerable to these people. In any case, the third point here is how effective is marketing on the platform, taking into account the continued increase in ad spend over the past months. So this was the initial template that they wanted to get sent out to various people that GARM knew in order to come speak at this conference. So fast forward in this email thread, Rob Rockovitz, who is a former senior employee of Mars, co-founded GARM, is probably going to be out of a job soon. But in any case, in this email thread, his close association with Five Rights secured them for this conference. The session was seeking to go beyond the headlines and speak to expert researchers and industry representatives from Five Rights, Group M, and Algo Transparency to uncover the opportunities and risks of advertising on TikTok and shape a balanced understanding of the platform. In other words, how do we manipulate it in our favor? Obviously, these groups want to be able to control the information that you see. I mean, we are in an attention economy, and everybody is fighting for your attention. Meghan and Harry understand this very well, particularly Meghan. She understands that being controversial will get more attention than just falling in line and doing what everybody expects you to do. Obviously, she is into the world of shock, and that's why she does what she does. That's why she lies all the time to continue to get people talking about her. It's why she's so obsessed with algorithms, because it's those that control the algorithms control the information that you see. And this is why Elon Musk is such a problem, because these advertisers essentially bully these platforms into putting their ads not on certain accounts, but putting them on other accounts, thus suppressing others. So like when you think about it, in how they are continuing to push their ideologies, these globalists, and adhering to these stupid SDG goals that are being forced down our throats by the UN, you recognize that the power that GARM has in controlling what you see from an advertising perspective is enormous. It's why so many people are brainwashed into a lot of the stupidness that we have seen over the last several years with the woke culture. I find it extremely alarming that the UK has a heavy hand here in the United States with this censorship industrial complex. Their influence on what is going on is pretty pervasive. When you see all these not-for-profits that are coming over here to open up shop in order to censor Americans, I find it absolutely ridiculous that this is happening. How are we allowing this to happen? You see what's going on in the UK at this moment with Keir Starmer pretty much wanting to arrest people for posting things on social media over expressing their concerns about how there's a two-tier justice system. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, but if we are not careful here in the United States, we will end up in that state. I mean, is the ultimate goal of all this chaos to push us into this digital ID and social credit system like China? It feels like it. The World Economic Forum has been driving a lot of this, especially with all these leaders who have been supporting it.
I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs are mobile. They move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders, to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises, and the law must be upheld everywhere. That is the single most important duty of government. Service rests on security, and we will take all necessary action to keep our streets safe.
Now, this is just my opinion that I am free to exercise here in the United States of America, but in my opinion, it looks like to me that Keir Starmer is committing treason by what he's doing to the natural citizens of the UK. Some are saying that what we're seeing going on in the UK is a preview of what America is about to go through. I hope not, but when you look at this situation and if it continues to escalate, is it intentional? I believe so. I think the goal here is to force us into this martial law to where we are forced into this digital ID and tracking, which I find extremely scary. I was shown this tweet today because a lot of people are talking about it. The White Rabbit podcast states, breaking UK news. I have received credible intel that those who appear to be Muslim migrants in the UK are in fact UN soldiers. This is why police have a stand-down order for anything they attend that involve these men. It is why they arrived in the UK without families and are housed in hotels as guests of the crown. The footage of them arriving on boats was a carefully crafted movie to distress Britons. It's an operation to garner UK public support for digital identity so Britons can feel safe. The operation will end when digital ID is adopted. Like the Trump assassination attempt, civilians matching the description of those you should fear have been used for what will appear like an escalation of societal violence. It is very important, Britons, that you do not fall for this psyops, as it is the one that will hammer the final nail in your coffin of freedom. You are in a fifth-generation war. They cannot drop bombs as they wish to retain the infrastructure and architecture, surveillance state, etc. Step back, wake up, do not become violent, and fall for this. The White Rabbit. Look, for those that are still not seeing it and think all of this is conspiracy, well, you can have my place when the time comes and they tell you to get on the train. Because we all know what happened when the Jews got on the train in Germany. When they say they want to take you to a safe place and it looks like something like the empty FEMA camps that are being built all over the United States right now, empty, I would run the other way.
There's an interview that you did recently with Clayton Morris over at Redacted that's really been plucked out and it's gone very viral. And Reese Report, Greg Reese over at InfoWars, put together one of his great little 4-minute videos about this. It's about these detention centers that one of your contacts, I think it's a DoD contractor, has shared with you. Let's go ahead and start with, I'm going to go ahead and play that video. It's 4 minutes and 7 seconds long. I'll play the video and that will then help us set the stage for our discussion. So we'll start with that. Okay. And again, this is Greg Reese over at InfoWars, to give him credit where it's due. So let's go and start there.
Okay. In a recent interview with Clayton Morris on Redacted, U.S. Border Patrol agent turned filmmaker J.J. Carroll discussed his new documentary and the fact that prison facilities are being built in all 50 states to hold millions of political dissidents.
And there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? And she says in this interview, they're for dissidents, American dissidents.
I think many of you are going to agree with me that something is happening and it's not good. It's not a coincidence that all these problems that we are having in the Western world are happening all at the same time, from immigration to inflation to racism. We've got the trans movement. I mean, all of this wacky stuff that has thrown off society and disrupted us into this chaos is not an accident. It's these fucking people who are playing God with everyone. This is why they hate freedom of speech so much and why there's such a massive effort to shut it down. Pay close attention to what's going on in the UK. If we lose free speech, then we lose everything else after it. And that's exactly what's happening right now in the UK. But what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.